Welcome back to Andrew Says on Rebel News. Many journalists and politicians were upset over the past weekend about the Globe and Mail printing a full two-page propaganda piece on behalf of the Chinese government. In it, you'll find a whole heap of praise on China's markets, their forestry, agriculture, and even how great their schools are. At the bottom of the page, as this is in their print-only version, you'll see this written: content produced by China Daily and distributed in the Globe and Mail, essentially marking it as an advertisement. Will most people see that? Half, maybe, who knows? If you don't know, China Daily is the official publicity department of the Chinese Communist Party, which is fine, I guess, since the section is labeled, but this raises a different question. Should this newspaper even be running ads for the communist regime? A lot of people were upset about this, but is this consistent with a message of free speech? On one hand, China Daily, who regularly has a circulation of 600,000 internationally, was boosted by about 50% with this ad. But on the other hand, the article is marked, and it would be dishonest of me to not point out that the very same newspaper has been pretty harsh and fairly honest when covering China. In fact, you'd probably put them in the top 3 of China critics in the country. So should we take advertising dollars from a communist country? That's more of an ethical question right now than it is a legal one. Other newspapers do this all the time. China Daily has purchased almost $20 million in print ads in the United States, most notably in Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal. Personally, I don't agree with it, but that doesn't necessarily matter. But when was the last time a Canadian outlet printed a warning on an article that they get direct funding from the federal government? Whenever they praise the Prime Minister's socks, for example. A difficult question is never asked to our leaders, so long as it's being asked by these outlets. It's more important to them to have power and to be included in the cool kids club. You can't have it both ways, though. They can't survive without government assistance, and they can't get views without being artificially pushed to the top. That's the reality of it all. Private companies, like it or not, can take ad space from whomever they like. On China, our government, where it matters, does not set a good example on this. If they had to tell people they were getting talking points from China directly, they would have to lose their jobs. There'd be no other option. Even Canada's Health Minister, Patty Hadju, to this day refuses to condemn China's mishandling of the virus. When asked recently whether or not she regrets calling China's underreporting of their numbers and the severity of the virus a conspiracy, here's how she responded.
You were asked early in the pandemic about whether the Chinese had underplayed the numbers that they were experiencing and the severity of this disease. You had dismissed that as a conspiracy theory. In retrospect, do you think that China was honest and was forthcoming in the intelligence it shared with the global community and Canada about the risk?
Look, very early on, China alerted the World Health Organization to the emergence of a novel coronavirus and also shared the sequencing of the gene, which allowed countries to be able to rapidly produce tests to detect it in their own countries. I think the phenomenon of underreporting is going to be something that we'll hear about across the world.
That's Canada's top health official carrying water for the Chinese government. Oh, it was very hard to tell at the time. The only other people that speak the way our government does about China's handling of the pandemic is the WHO and China itself. It's time for tough questions to be asked about China to our politicians, about this virus, about the lockdowns, and more. No one seems to be willing to ask them out of fear of being unincluded. I wonder why that is. Your best guess is probably the correct one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let us know your feelings on China in the comments. And if you're against the mask rules and you need an exemption, go to maskexemption.ca.